but we got quarterbacks to talk about. This is where it gets interesting, right? Because we're talking about two all-time greats that potentially, with rumors, could end up in San Francisco. And of course, you've got the kid in Trey Lance. Let's talk the first one. Probably the least likely of the two.
Right.
Aaron Rodgers to San Francisco. Did you see his little post that he threw out yesterday?
Yeah, I saw his post. I watched a little bit about what he was saying too on the Pat McAfee show. So I think that it's kind of being blown out of proportion as far as whether or not this was like his retirement post. I just think Aaron Rodgers is in a different place in his life, and he's doing different things that, I think he's just more confident in being who he is, and who he is as a person isn't necessarily the most friendly to the media narrative of what they want a superstar to be. So I think he gets a lot more like I think the narrative gets built around him different from what he may actually be. But yeah, I saw that. It looks like he was retiring. It looks like, or at least he's not going to be on Green Bay anymore. So obviously, if there's a quarterback available, for some reason, it doesn't matter who's on the quarterback roster for the 49ers, they're somehow tied to that team. So
yeah, I mean, this is a guy that's been tied to the 49ers since the day he was drafted. It's always going to be a thing. I agree with you, though. I didn't take really much from that post. Here's what I took from that post. Not a lot of football. I took a lot of personal from that.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this man was engaged, that got broken off. We already know that he's estranged with his family. They don't really talk. It doesn't seem like he's the type of guy that holds a lot of close friends. I feel like he's a bit of a loner, and being that he's aging, he's 38 years old. I can tell you, if I was 38, which I am, but I didn't have any kids or I didn't have any family to talk to, you know, I would feel lonely, right? And so I think that's the situation that he's going through. He doesn't talk to his family. He doesn't have any kids. His fiance just broke it off with him. And I think he had a moment where he was probably feeling a little bit vulnerable and just wanted to send out some gratitude and like saying, hey, I know that this is not something that I would normally do. I come off pretty cold sometimes, that I don't really care. This is an opportunity for me to just give thanks in a moment where I'm feeling pretty vulnerable as an individual. And that's the way that I took that. I didn't take it as he's retiring. I didn't take it as he's leaving Green Bay. I didn't take it as any of that. I really didn't. I'm sure that he's reflecting everything in life. It's not to say that he's not considering retirement or leaving Green Bay. I just didn't take that post as that. I just took it at face value that he wanted to show some gratitude and he's going through some things personally.
Yeah, and I mean, this, for a guy the caliber of Aaron Rodgers, obviously the biggest narrative about him happened to be his stance on COVID and the COVID protocols and the vaccine, right? So I think he's just been enamored with negativity. And on the Pat McAfee show, he talked about how he was going through a cleanse right now, and he's isolated from everybody through this cleanse, and out of the cleanse, everything that he felt was just this deep sense of gratitude. And that's been something that I think over the last couple of years, he's really made his mantra as far as gratitude. And he even mentioned, there's that picture of Cobb and Davante Adams and then he's not in that picture. That was the game that he missed due to, testing positive for COVID. He said when Cobb and Davante did that and it ended up getting sent to him, he cried because the thought process that he saw two of his teammates, because that's usually how they stand for the national anthem, then Aaron Rodgers, then Davante Adams. And then after the national anthem, they embrace each other, and that's kind of their pregame ritual. To take that picture, that means they put the thought process that knowing, hey, A-Rod's not here, but we're still going to do the same tradition and we're not going to replace him. And I think he's just looking at maybe a season full of a lot of people just going at him for whatever reason. And obviously in that moment, you would think a mature person would be like, well, I could focus on all these negatives, or I could look at all the people that stuck by me no matter what I did. Right. And that's what I took from the post as well. It's just like him focusing on the positives of what's going on in his life that is good versus just dwelling on the negatives. And I think all of us in life could take a lot from that, right? It's very easy to get caught up in all the negatives and think down about where your situation in life is versus focusing on all those people that bring value to your life and are positives. And I think that's what that post is about. It's just kind of crazy in a society that we're in right now. If anybody starts saying a lot of crazy positive things, they already think he's a mental case. He needs help. Somebody in here said he needs therapy. Like, it's like, why? Because he started saying happy things? No, happiness is actually something that we should be normalized. Gratitude is something we should normalize. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think that makes you a crazy person.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, I think it's just personal growth, right? And that's all I see from it. If I were to put a percentage on him coming to San Francisco, I would say 0.5%. Like
Mhm.
I don't see it. Like, would you put it any higher than that or you kind of agree?
I think there's a 0% chance, to be honest.
Well,
There's no
leaving the
way
door open.
there's no way that Green Bay ever allows him to
I
get
wouldn't
to
think.
the 49ers because they're already the team that knocked him out of the playoffs though so many times. Like, to then give them the best player that you have on your team, like, they're never beating the 49ers for the next, 5 years if they give him A-Rod. So I don't even think it I think it's a 0% chance.
All right. Well, I'm gonna give it a point 0.5 because you never know, and I don't want to be the a-hole that everybody goes and tags when it happens. The off chance it happens, you
Tag
said
me
no
at
chance. You can be that guy.
at So Real Sunil on
Perfect.
Twitter,
He
at
wants all the
me.
smoke.
Yeah, all the smoke. That's not happening.